New details on the ISIS attack in France. One of the men suspected of killing a priest in a church in northern France was being monitored by the police. In fact, he was arrested twice last year trying to reach Syria. Now, fears officials over there aren't doing enough to stop terror. This just sort of flames him. And just moments ago, Donald Trump hitting on Democrats for not focusing enough on ISIS during their convention.
You know, this is in a country from 40 years ago. Today we have a different threat. We have a terror threat, and we have an ISIS threat. And by the way, ISIS isn't even mentioned. It's not even mentioned during the Democratic convention. And everyone's talking about it. The reason they can't mention it is because they grew it.
Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar. Congressman, Donald Trump has been making this assertion for a very long period of time. Certainly, when President Obama called ISIS the JV team, he's never really been able to live that down, and now they've taken their terror to our cities across the Western world.
Well, certainly, we got to make sure that we are tough in attacking ISIS, and I think you are going to hear about ISIS, but the bottom line is we got folks that have the experience in attacking and making sure that we're strong against ISIS.
I hear what you're saying, but I just feel like what you're saying and what we see in the news and what we're experiencing, unfortunately, almost on a daily basis, just they don't jibe. And I think that's where the Democrats are in a lot of trouble, because it feels like you're ignoring the pain out there, the suffering, and the fear that's mounting in this country by saying we're winning and we'll be able to take care of these guys.
Well, certainly a lot of it's going to come up to what the Congress does, what sort of money we put in appropriations. I'm a member of the appropriations. I work with a lot of good friends, folks that are in the appropriations, to make sure we put the money to fight ISIS. And I certainly, as a Democrat, want to make sure that we're tough against ISIS, because it's a cancer that has to be eliminated.
Why haven't the Democrats been tough against ISIS thus far? I mean, we're talking about the nuances, the minutia of it all. We're talking, what the American public wants to understand is, what's the policy? How do you crush them? And how do we go to the park this weekend without having to worry about a bomb going off?
Well, again, there's different themes, and I'm sure that we're going to hear about terrorism and making sure that we fight against terrorism. As you know, just like the Republicans had days of different themes, we're going to have the same thing. So I feel very strongly that Democrats like myself are going to be tough on ISIS, and we're going to do this in a bipartisan way.
In order to articulate a message tonight against terrorism, specifically ISIS, will the Democrats have to tacitly admit that what they've done so far has not been tough enough?
Well, again, I don't know if they have to admit that, but my thing is, how do we move forward? How do we go after this cancer, ISIS, that we need to go after? And we need to go after them. I know right now we're doing some of the bombing, but eventually we got to look at, if it's not going to be enough, we got to look at other steps. I'm one of those Democrats that I want to make sure that everything is left on the table as we try to get rid of this cancer. Because if we don't, they will be, and they are looking at us, and we have to make sure that we go after them. Look at France, look at some other places, and eventually they're going to try to get over here, and we got to stop them and cut out this cancer.
They've influenced several attacks in this country, several devastating attacks. You call it a cancer. Will anyone in your party stand up tonight and call it radical Islam, and then articulate a tough enough message that people feel like, okay, maybe this time they're serious?
Well, I'm a Democrat, and I call it radical Islam. I mean, without a doubt, it is a cancer that we need to go after. And as a member of the appropriations, again, in a bipartisan way, we want to make sure we put the funding so our military, our intelligence folks can go after this cancer and get rid of this cancer.
Congressman Cuellar, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.